After 10 games of MLS postseason action, 28 goals, and 10 teams bowing out of the playoffs, I think we're left with the 4 most dangerous teams. 4 teams that have excelled in the league this season and have rightfully earned their spot in their respective conference finals. On one side, we have the first and second seed going at it, which is something we rarely see at this point in the tournament. And on the other side, we also have 2 top-seeded teams in the first and third seed. What I'm trying to get across here is that this is the right outcome of each conference. All 4 of these teams have shown their excellence throughout the regular season, as well as in the playoffs. And now it's only right that they come up against each other for a place in MLS Cup. To be the best, you must beat the best. Which brings us to our first matchup in the Western Conference. Supporters Shield winning LAFC up against possibly the biggest year-to-year turnaround in MLS history, Austin FC. In the conference semis, both of these clubs played massive rivalry games that should have them revved up for this clash of the Titans. For LAFC, they took part in maybe the most entertaining rivalry this league has to offer in El Tráfico. In a back and forth match, LAFC prevailed, but it was close. After finding a goal early on, the Galaxy equalized right before half. Then, LAFC thought they may have found the winner in the 80th minute through Dennis Buanga's second goal of the match, but the Galaxy struck back 5 minutes later. Then, when it all seemed extra time would be inevitable, Chicho Arango, a player who saved LAFC multiple times this year, popped up with a goal off a corner in the 90-plus third minute. Scenes, adrenaline, and everything LAFC fans could have wanted. For Austin, their previous game was not as intense, but that's because Austin really gained a foothold against Dallas after finding 2 goals very early on. Starting Gite as a hold-up striker brought physicality into the Austin attack that put off the usually strong Dallas center backs. This resulted in a Gite goal in the first half hour, which unsettled Dallas and allowed Driussi to add a second 2 minutes later. After that, it was all about game management, shutting out Dallas's attack and putting on some more great shots on the opponent's goal. All important aspects for a team to succeed in the postseason. So for this game, what can we expect? To start, these teams have played some insane games so far this year against each other. In the first one, Austin went to LA and stunned LAFC with their first home loss of the season, which would end up being one of only 2 losses LAFC faced at the Bank of California. In the other match, LAFC attempted to return the favor in Austin, but Austin were absolutely up for that game, slapping up that LAFC side 4-1. That game stood as a marker for what this Austin side could achieve. Since then though, both clubs have floundered, with each team picking up 4 losses in their final 7 regular season matches. For this game, expect both teams to go in arms swinging. LAFC are toting lethal firepower, and newcomer Dennis Buanga, who's already picked up 3 huge goals for this club in their Supporters Shield winning strike versus Portland, and then 2 he had against the Galaxy. In all of these goals, there's a common theme. 1, it's his composure on the ball, whether it's dribbling through 3 players or slotting away a tap-in. And 2, it's his tendency to sneak in past the back line. Buanga loves to find a pocket on the back of the defender and use it to gain an advantage, and with his ability to touch and move so quickly, it usually results in a shot on goal. For Austin, they got their firepower too in the likes of Sebastian Driussi, who we've talked about so often, but it is with good reason. After having a stunning regular season, being involved in 29 goals, he's found a way to transfer directly into postseason play, a trait we haven't seen from every star. In these 2 games so far, Driussi has found the net 3 times, and 2 of those being game winners. It's ice cold from Driussi, who looks like he has the ability to carry this team in the final all by himself. But obviously, it takes a team, and Austin has that with the likes of Fagundes on the wing, Captain Alex Ring in the midfield, and Brad Stuver locking down the back line. Specifically on Stuver, what an impressive postseason performance so far. Huge saves against RSL resulted in one of the best PK shootouts we've seen from an MLS keeper. His first 2 years in Austin as a starter have been nothing but amazing, and even though Maxim Crepeau of LAFC is another top keeper, I'd take Stuver over him any day. For LAFC, they're based on MLS experience. From Hollingshead to Ilya Sanchez and Kellen Acosta, this club has implemented proven MLS talent into their side, which is something we haven't seen in previous years. The hope is that with that experience, LAFC will be able to fend off an Austin side that I expect to come out guns blazing. With the game being at the Bank of California though, you have to say LAFC are favorites here. But Austin picked up that win in LA earlier this season, and I mean, they're always proving the doubters wrong. No matter who I pick, the other side will be upset, So I'm going to be wrong either way, but I think LAFC will come out on top of this one alive for their first appearance in MLS Cup by a scoreline of 2-1. And now it's time to cover the East as the Philadelphia Union host NYCFC in a repeat of last year's Eastern Conference Final, a game in which NYCFC came out of and then went on to win MLS Cup. So this year, as you probably have thought of, the Union will be going for revenge, but it is a lot deeper than that. In last year's matchup, the Union were struck down with COVID, which left almost the entirety of their starting lineup out of the match. So not only did the Union miss out on that MLS Cup appearance last year, but a lot of their star players missed out at the opportunity to even compete. So they won't be taking anything for granted this time around. In NYCFC's last match, they came away from Montreal with a 3-1 victory, but when actually looking into the scoreline, it probably favors the Pigeons more than the game itself. In this match, NYCFC capitalized on their few opportunities, scoring in the first 5 minutes and then adding a second right before half. But in between those two goals, there were a countless number of close calls for the City defense. Shot upon shot came in from Montreal, but each one was either met by a defender falling in for the block or Sean Johnson's big, meaty claw. In the end though, City pulled away the victors, and rightfully so. For the Union, they came off quite a scare from Cincinnati. It's always tough being the first seed because you get that bye week while other teams get in that playoff mood, so I wasn't surprised at all to see the Union not totally blow past Cincinnati. Instead, we got a true fight between two clubs, and once again, going back to the keepers, if it wasn't for some heroic displays by Andre Blake, this Union side wouldn't be here. A goal in the 59th minute by Leon Flock was the only thing that separated these two sides. But now the Union are in playoff mode and City are ready to bring it as we gear up for this matchup. I mentioned in last week's video that the strength of this City side comes from their midfield, and that proved to be key once again as we saw Maxi Morales link up with Gabriel Pereira and Santiago Rodriguez for another goal in these playoffs. This midfield consistently is moving the ball, moving positions, and creating attacks, which leaves the opposition touches behind. Against the Union, it will be a little bit trickier to do this with Jose Martinez being the defensive beast he is in the middle of the park, but it can be done, and it's situations like that where we have seen the Union struggle. For Philadelphia, you're hoping that Michael Uri and Julian Carranza are a bit more on their game than they were against Cincinnati. These two players were both lethal during the regular season, not only with their scoring touch, but also creating opportunities, with Carranza's 23 goal contributions and Uri's 19. But in the last playoff match, we didn't see that ability with quite a few chances going wide or hit with absolutely no pace. For this match, it could be easier for the two strikers because there is a chance NYCFC could be a bit lighter in their defensive duties due to the possible injury of Maxime Chanot after coming off early in their last match. But there is a chance he'll at least take part in this game, so we'll have to wait and see. Along with that injury, we're looking at another game where Talles Magno could be missing. After subbing into the match versus Montreal and scoring a penalty, he eventually limped off to the side before the match ended. But a Bear picked up another goal in his place, so things are not totally dead at that number 9 position. And just to end this off, I said it once, but I'll say it again, the two keepers for each side are at the very top of this league. Andre Blake and Sean Johnson have consistently been in the best goalkeeper category over the past few years, and with 2 star performances in their last time out, I think both sides of attackers will have their work cut out for them. Just like in the other match, both sides put up serious threats in this game, but at Subaru Park, a place where the Union have not lost in 2022, it's really difficult to say that NYCFC can take out the Union for the second time in 2 years. I'm backing Philadelphia and the 2022 Coach of the Year Jim Curtin to book their place in MLS Cup this year as they beat New York by a 1-0 extra time scoreline. And that wraps up the 2 conference final games that will decide what team competes in MLS Cup. Once again, let's make it clear that any of these 4 sides can win their respective games, and by no means am I counting anyone out. Until MLS Cup, I'll see you next time.